The discovery. The vastness of space held many secrets, but Commander Kethvar of the Velthari Empire had never expected to stumble upon one that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. His patrol vessel, the Void Hunter, drifted silently through the Outer Rim territories, its advanced sensors sweeping the darkness for any signs of pirate activity or unauthorized settlements. Kethvar's 4 arms worked efficiently across the bridge controls, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the soft blue light of the command center. The Velthari had been the galaxy's premier scouts for over a millennium, their natural ability to detect energy signatures making them invaluable to the Galactic Coalition. Today's patrol had been routine until sensor operator Vixtal suddenly stiffened at her station. "Commander, I'm detecting an anomalous energy signature bearing 27 Mark IV, she reported, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones typical of her species. "The pattern is unlike anything in our databases." Kethvar moved to her station with fluid grace, his multiple eyes focusing on the readout. The energy signature was indeed unusual, pulsing with a steady rhythm that seemed almost organic. More disturbing was its size. Whatever was generating this signature was massive, easily the size of a small moon. "Classification?" he asked, though he suspected the answer would be unsatisfactory. "Unknown, sir. The energy pattern suggests some form of advanced technology, but the spectral analysis doesn't match any known species in Coalition space." Vixtal's secondary arms continued to work the controls, trying to refine their readings. "Commander, there's something else. The signature appears to be moving, but very slowly." A chill ran down Kethvar's spine. In his 40 years of service, he had learned to trust his instincts, and right now they were screaming warnings. He activated the ship's communication array. "Void Hunter to Coalition Command, Priority Channel. We have discovered an unidentified massive energy source in Sector 7G, requesting permission to investigate." The response came back within minutes, Admiral Thexmore's gruff voice filling the bridge. "Permission granted, Commander, but maintain safe distance and full sensor records. If this is some kind of weapon, we need to know about it." As the Void Hunter approached the coordinates, the source of the energy signature finally became visible on their main screen. Kethvar felt his breath catch in his throat. Floating in the void was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. A colossal vessel that dwarfed even the largest Coalition dreadnoughts. Its hull was a dark, metallic gray that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, and its design was both alien and oddly familiar. "Scans indicate the vessel is approximately 12 kilometers in length," reported his tactical officer, Zekner. "Hull composition unknown, but showing signs of advanced metallurgy." "Commander, I'm detecting faint life signs aboard the vessel." The implications hit Kethvar like a physical blow. A ship this size, with technology this advanced, crewed by an unknown species, this could change everything. But as he studied the vessel more closely, something nagged at him. The design elements, the proportions, something about it seemed familiar. "Vixtal, run a comparative analysis against all known ship designs in the Galactic database, including historical records." Minutes passed as the ship's computer processed the request. When the results appeared on screen, Kethvar's 4 hearts nearly stopped beating simultaneously. The match was only partial, but it was there. Design elements that corresponded to ships from ancient records, ships that belonged to a species that had been extinct for 800 years. "Commander," Vixtal's voice was barely above a whisper, "preliminary analysis suggests architectural similarities to human vessels." The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew knew the history, how humanity had been the galaxy's most aggressive and technologically advanced species until they mysteriously vanished 8 centuries ago. Their sudden disappearance had been one of the great mysteries of galactic history, with most scholars believing they had destroyed themselves in some catastrophic war. "That's impossible," Zeknor said, voicing what they were all thinking. "Humans have been extinct for 800 years. Every survey of their former territories confirmed it. But Kethvar, was already making the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Prepare a boarding party. We're going aboard that vessel. The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth. The human ship's airlocks were compatible with Coalition standards, suggesting either incredible coincidence or deliberate design. Cathvar led the boarding party himself, along with Vixtal and 2 security officers. Their environmental suits registered a breathable atmosphere inside the ship, though they kept their helmets sealed as a precaution. The interior of the vessel was as impressive as its exterior. Corridors wide enough for heavy equipment stretched in multiple directions, their walls lined with what appeared to be some form of advanced composite material. Emergency lighting cast long shadows as they made their way toward the source of the life signs. The architecture is definitely human, Vixtal confirmed as they walked. These proportions, the gravity orientation, this was built for bipedal humanoids of roughly human size. They found them in what appeared to be the ship's central core, hundreds of cylindrical chambers arranged in precise rows, each one filled with a clear, viscous fluid. And floating in that fluid, perfectly preserved, were humans, men and women of various ages, all in some form of deep stasis that had kept them alive for centuries. Cathvar approached one of the chambers, studying the sleeping figure inside. The human was a male, perhaps middle-aged by their species standards, with graying hair and the weathered features of someone who had seen combat. A nameplate on the chamber read Captain M. Reed, commanding officer. Commander, one of his security officers called from across the chamber. I'm detecting power fluctuations throughout the ship. Something's happening. As if triggered by their presence, the ship began to come alive around them. Lights flickered on in sequence, computer displays activated, and a low harmonic hum filled the air. The stasis chambers began to drain, their occupants slowly stirring to consciousness. Captain Marcus Reed was the first to fully awaken, his eyes snapping open as the chamber seal hissed open. He stepped out with practiced ease, apparently unaffected by 8 centuries of sleep, and immediately assessed his surroundings. When his gaze fell on the Veltheri boarding party, his hand instinctively moved toward where a weapon would normally hang. I am Commander Cathvar of the Veltheri Empire, Cathvar said carefully, using the universal translator built into his suit. You are aboard a vessel we discovered in deep space. Can you understand me? Reed's eyes narrowed as he processed this information. Veltheri Empire, he repeated slowly. Never heard of it. How long have we been asleep? The question carried a weight that made Cathvar's chest tighten. According to our historical records, humanity disappeared from the galaxy approximately 800 years ago. We presumed your species extinct. The color drained from Reed's face, but his composure never wavered. Around them, other humans were beginning to wake, their movements becoming more coordinated as their bodies remembered how to function. Reed helped several of them to their feet, speaking in low, reassuring tones. 800 years, he murmured, then looked directly at Cathvar. Commander, I need to speak with your superiors immediately. There are things about humanity's disappearance that your Galactic Coalition needs to understand. How do you know about the Coalition? Vixtal asked suspiciously. Reed's smile was grim. Because we've been watching you, all of you. For 800 years, we've been preparing for this day. The implications of those words sent shockwaves through Cathvar's mind. If humans had been watching galactic civilization develop, if they had been preparing for something, then their sudden reappearance was no accident. He activated his emergency beacon, knowing that within hours, this sector would be swarming with Coalition ships. What he didn't know was that Captain Reed was counting on exactly that response. Back aboard the Void Hunter, Cathvar established communication with Coalition Command, his report causing panic in the highest levels of galactic government. Within 6 hours, representatives from 5 different species were en route to his position, each carrying orders that ranged from establish diplomatic contact to eliminate the threat immediately. Admiral Thex Moore arrived first aboard the Coalition dreadnought Stellar Dominion, his craggy features set in the permanent scowl that had made him famous throughout Coalition space. A veteran of a dozen conflicts, he had never encountered a situation quite like this. "Commander Cathvar," he said as they met in the Stellar Dominion's briefing room, "your report indicates the humans claim to have been watching us for 8 centuries. Do you believe them?" Cathvar considered his words carefully. "Sir, their technology is clearly advanced beyond anything in our current databases. The ship itself appears to be running on power systems we don't understand, and preliminary scans suggest weapons and defensive capabilities that," he paused, struggling to find the right words, "that exceed our current military capacity." "One ship," Admiral Thexmore growled. "One ship, regardless of its capabilities, cannot threaten the combined might of the Galactic Coalition." But even as he spoke those words, long-range sensors were detecting new contacts entering the system. Ships emerging from hyperspace, their energy signatures matching the massive vessel they had discovered. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands of contacts, each one representing the human warship that had been hidden in the depths of space for centuries. Captain Reed, monitoring Coalition communications from aboard the Titan's gate, allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had accomplished during their long exile, and why they had chosen this moment to reveal themselves. The first phase of humanity's return was complete. Now came the true test, whether the galaxy would accept their rightful place among the stars, or whether 800 years of preparation would be put to its ultimate purpose. As more Coalition ships arrived in the system, drawn by reports of humanity's return, Reed activated ship-wide communications. His voice carried to every member of his crew, humans who had volunteered for a mission that spanned centuries. "All hands, this is the captain. The long sleep is over. The galaxy that thought us extinct is about to learn the truth. Humanity endures, humanity adapts, and humanity remembers. Prepare for contact protocols, and remember our mission. We're not here for conquest. We're here to reclaim our place among the stars." The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape galactic civilization, and Captain Marcus Reed intended to ensure that humanity emerged victorious. The Reckoning. The Coalition fleet that assembled in Sector 7G was the largest military force gathered in over 2 centuries. Ships from 5 different species formed a massive crescent around the human vessel Titan's Gate, their combined firepower capable of glassing entire worlds. Admiral Thexmore commanded from the bridge of his flagship, while representatives from the Nexuri Republic, the Kethmoran Confederacy, the Ziltheri Hegemony, and the Veltheri Empire observed from their respective vessels. Admiral Zixthul of the Nexuri Republic was the most vocal advocate for immediate action. His species had dominated galactic military doctrine for 4 centuries, and the idea that a supposedly extinct race could challenge Coalition supremacy was intolerable to him. Admiral Thexmore, his synthesized voice, crackled over the command channel. "Every moment we delay gives these humans time to prepare whatever trap they're planning. My analysis of their vessel suggests technology that could pose a significant threat if deployed on a larger scale." "Patience, Admiral," replied Commander Cathvar from his position aboard the Void Hunter. "We still don't understand their intentions." Captain Reed requested a diplomatic meeting, not a battle. Admiral Zixthul's response was sharp. Their intentions became clear the moment additional human ships began entering the system. "Current count is approaching 3,000 vessels, Admiral Thexmore. This is not diplomacy. This is an invasion fleet." The numbers were staggering. Long-range sensors continued to detect new human ships emerging from what appeared to be some form of advanced stealth technology. Each vessel was unique in design, but shared the same dark, light-absorbing hull as the Titan's Gate. More disturbing was their positioning. The human fleet was not massing for attack, but rather surrounding the Coalition forces in a perfect sphere, maintaining exactly the same distance from all Coalition vessels. Aboard the Titan's Gate, Captain Reed stood in his command center, studying holographic displays that showed the positions of every ship in the system. His bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their 800 years of preparation evident in every action. "Captain," reported his science officer, Dr. Elena Vasquez, Coalition forces have reached full combat readiness. Their weapons are charging, and they're broadcasting on multiple frequencies demanding our surrender. Reed nodded calmly. Expected. Commander Zhang, status of the fleet. All vessels in position, sir. Defensive grids are active, and all ships report ready for Phase 2 protocols. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her station. Sir, I'm reading power fluctuations from several coalition vessels. I believe they're preparing to fire. The moment of truth had arrived. For 800 years, humanity had prepared for this confrontation, developing technology and strategies based on careful observation of galactic civilization. They had watched empires rise and fall, studied every military engagement, and identified every weakness in coalition doctrine. Reed activated the communication system, his image appearing on screens throughout the coalition fleet. This is Captain Marcus Reed of the United Earth Sovereignty vessel Titan's Gate. To all coalition forces, you have 60 seconds to power down your weapons and withdraw to a safe distance. This is your only warning. Admiral Zixthal's response was immediate and predictable. Human vessel, you are outnumbered 300 to 1. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Reed's expression never changed. Admiral, you're operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of the tactical situation. Dr. Vasquez, please enlighten our guests. Dr. Vasquez activated her console, and suddenly every coalition ship found their tactical displays lighting up with new information. What they had thought was empty space around them was revealed to be filled with human ships, not the thousands they had detected, but tens of thousands. The entire system was saturated with human vessels that had been completely invisible to coalition sensors. Impossible, whispered Admiral Thexmore as he stared at his tactical display. Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy. Your sensors are designed to detect the technology you understand. Dr. Vasquez's voice carried clearly across all coalition communication channels. Humanity has had 8 centuries to develop detection countermeasures specifically tailored to your capabilities. Every major engagement your forces have fought, every tactical innovation you've developed, we've been watching and learning. The revelation sent shockwaves through the coalition fleet. Ship commanders who moments before had been confident in their overwhelming superiority now found themselves completely surrounded by an enemy they couldn't properly detect or count. Admiral Zixthal, his pride wounded beyond tolerance, made the decision that would define the next phase of galactic history. All ships, open fire. Destroy the human vessel immediately. The coalition attack was devastating in its intensity. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and kinetic projectiles filled space with deadly energy, all converging on the Titan's Gate. For a moment, the human ship disappeared entirely within a sphere of destructive force that should have vaporized any known vessel. When the energy dissipated, the Titan's Gate hung in space completely undamaged. A shimmering energy field around the ship faded from visibility, revealing the defensive technology that had absorbed the entire coalition barrage without effect. Phase 2 protocols are now authorized, Captain Reed announced calmly to his fleet. Demonstrate our capabilities, but minimize casualties. These people aren't our enemies. They're simply ignorant of what humanity has become. The human response was swift and precise. Instead of returning fire with weapons, they deployed technology that the coalition had never seen before. Targeted electromagnetic pulses disabled weapon systems throughout the coalition fleet. Tractor beam variants far more advanced than anything in galactic databases seized control of coalition vessels, holding them in place with irresistible force. Most devastating of all was the complete shutdown of coalition communication systems. Every ship found itself isolated, unable to coordinate with its allies or even understand what was happening around them. The humans had not fired a single destructive shot, yet they had effectively neutralized the largest military force in galactic history. Admiral Thexmore found his voice first. What do you want from us? Captain Reed's image reappeared on coalition screens, his expression patient but firm. What we've always wanted, Admiral. Recognition of humanity's right to exist in this galaxy. For 800 years, your predecessors tried to eliminate us. They failed, obviously, but their attempt forced us to develop in isolation. We had no knowledge of any attempt to eliminate humanity, Commander Cathvar protested. Our historical records show only that your species mysteriously vanished. Because that's what we wanted you to believe, Reed replied. The Galactic Coalition of 8 centuries ago declared humanity a threat to galactic stability. They were right. We were a threat. We were expanding too quickly, developing too rapidly, asking too many questions about why certain species held power while others served. Dr. Vasquez added, rather than face extinction, humanity chose exile. We established hidden colonies in regions of space you considered uninhabitable, developed technology you couldn't imagine, and waited for the right moment to return. And that moment is now. Admiral Zixthal asked, his synthesized voice carrying notes of both fear and anger. That moment is now, Reed confirmed. The galaxy has grown comfortable with the current balance of power. Comfortable enough to make the same mistakes your predecessors made. You see a single human ship and immediately assume you can destroy it. You detect a human fleet and assume you can overwhelm it through superior numbers. Around them, space continued to reveal its secrets as more human vessels decloaked. The true scope of humanity's hidden civilization became apparent. Massive construction ships, mobile research stations, vessels designed for purposes the Coalition couldn't even comprehend. This wasn't just a military fleet. It was an entire civilization that had been developing in secret for 8 centuries. Fleet Admiral Chen's voice joined the communication as the human command ship Prometheus decloaked near the Coalition formation. Her vessel dwarfed even the Titan's Gate, its hull studded with technology that defied easy classification. I am Fleet Admiral Chen of the United Earth Sovereignty, she announced. Captain Reed represents just one of our exploration fleets. The human civilization you thought extinct now encompasses 47 star systems, with a combined population approaching 12 billion individuals. The numbers were staggering. In 800 years of hidden development, humanity had not merely survived. They had thrived, growing into a civilization that rivaled the entire Galactic Coalition in scope and exceeded it in technological capability. What happens now? Admiral Thexmore asked, his voice heavy with the realization that everything he thought he knew about galactic civilization had just changed forever. Now we negotiate, Admiral Chen replied. Humanity is reclaiming its place in galactic civilization, but we're not interested in conquest. We want trade agreements, territorial recognition, and most importantly, assurance that no coalition member will ever again attempt to eliminate human civilization. Captain Reed added, "You'll find us reasonable negotiating partners, Admiral. We've spent 8 centuries studying your various species and cultures. We understand your needs and concerns. But understand this, humanity will never again allow itself to be driven into exile or face extinction. The galaxy is large enough for all of us, but only if we respect each other's right to exist." As the immediate crisis began to de-escalate, coalition ships found their systems being restored to normal function. The humans were demonstrating both their overwhelming capability and their restraint, a combination that spoke more eloquently than any diplomatic speech about their true intentions. Over the following hours, preliminary negotiations began. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as equals who demanded recognition through strength. The coalition would have to adjust to a new reality where they were no longer the dominant force in galactic civilization. But as Captain Reed looked out at the stars from his bridge, he felt a satisfaction that came not from victory in battle, but from the knowledge that humanity's long exile was finally over. The galaxy that had tried to forget them would now have to learn to live with them as equals. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of true galactic civilization was about to begin.